Good evening, everyone. Today is September the 30th, 2025. Most gracious and holy Father, we just thank you, God, for another opportunity, oh God, of prayer. We ask you, God, that you would bless this broadcast as well as our viewers and their families as well. We ask you, God, that you would just bless our nation with everything that's going on. Mankind as a whole. Just ask you that you would comfort, keep us, and dwell within each and every one of us. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. What's good, everybody? Please forgive me and let me know as you guys come in. Let me know if I'm looking distorted or whatnot. I'm trying to be still as possible because on my end it's showing me kind of distorted. But get in the comments and let me know. Let me know which platform you guys are watching on. If you haven't gone already, please go ahead and subscribe to the Marvin Bennett Jr. Show on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. The subscriptions are free. Please go ahead and subscribe for us, and we appreciate you. Tell everybody else about it as well. Um, in the meantime, let's go ahead and get the birthday shout outs out the way. I want to say happy born day to my little brother Snacks. He celebrated his born day on last week. Quite a few of them actually. Miss Tequila Anderson, Miss Key Anderson, Vandell Atkins, Coach Marion Bell. Happy born day, my brother. Little bro Arturo Anderson. Happy born day, Toro. Miss Keisha Davis, the majestic one himself, Miss Jid Shaheed. Happy born day, Majid. Miss Kathy Soto. My boy on the bass, Orlando Thompson. Um, the woman of God herself, Miss Missionary Ebony Jackson. Sir Bass Lot, the OG on the bass in New Jersey, probably in the Hall of Fame. Mr. Derek Jackson Sr., my man on the horn down here in North Carolina, Mr. Brian E. Miller, Miss Keisha Fox. Let's see who else we got. Miss Shantae Judd, our point guard in high school. Happy born day, Tay. Miss Rose Worthington, Mr. Derek Perry, Miss Tanya King. Happy born day, Tanya. Beautiful Miss Nicole Tompkins. Happy born day on today. And last but not least, my Little Rock fam, my Little Rock sister, Miss Monique Hall. Happy born day to all you guys that celebrating your milestone. I mean your birthdays or whatnot. Different accomplishments. Hats off to you for seeing another year. Um, as well as I want to offer my condolences to Miss Dorothy Stanler last week when we were doing the show. Um, Dorothy came in, and Dorothy's a regular viewer as well. She's in here on a consistent basis. You guys know her from the comments or whatever, what have you. Um, but her friend, Miss Rosalind Murphy, that she asked us to pray for last week, she did pass away. So condolences to her family. Let's please keep the Murphy family in our prayers, as well as my girl, Miss Catherine. As Cat on Facebook. She lost her mother over the weekend. So let's keep them each and every one of us, um, especially a part of this community and the people that we know and we have an impact on and we talk to every day. Let's keep them uplifted in prayer while they're going through these difficult times, losing a loved one. Especially, you're approaching the holiday season and that's when it seems to usually hit everybody the worst. So let's be mindful and keep each and every one of those in prayer, as well as you and your families, everybody that lost someone that they love. Uh, they understand what it's like, Unfortunately, I'm not there yet, and I'm not in no rush. But my heart definitely goes out to them. I can't say that I know how you guys feel, because I still have my mom with me. But shout out to all of those, and let's keep them lifted as they, the memories, cherish the memories that they had with their loved ones and their parents. Um, on a lighter note, I got on my red today. I got my sweatshirt on because congratulations to my bum Giants. They got their first win this weekend. Mr. Jackson Dart, my man Rod. Shout out to Rod. Rod said we helped them win his parlay. So shout out to those guys on getting their first win or whatever the case may be. We still in the basement. We still suck, but it is what it is. I'm still waiting on tonight's guest to come on. But while we waiting on, matter of fact, yeah, while we waiting, let me just go ahead and address this. And this is no joking matter whatsoever. Uh, and like I said, if you guys, if those that are watching, because I see people are in there. What's good, Sam? Sam said Dart is real. We'll see, man. It's one game. Ain't even throw for 150 yards. You know what I mean? But I mean, a win is a win. But we'll see. It's still be to be determined. Um, but what I wanted to say was, you know, with everything that happened today, I caught a little bit of CNN here and there. I don't care what your political affiliation is. I don't care what party you support, what you down with, who you don't like, who are for, uh, what your gender is, how you identify. I don't care about any of that. With everything that took place today and things that are going on, period, I would encourage each and every one of you, no matter what your religious beliefs are, whatever prayer that you pray or whoever it is that you pray to, let's pray like never before because we're going to live. We're living in times that it's going to be undescribable, and it's like it's like one of those situations where you hear people telling stories, whatever. Like we all know what it's like as adults. Some stories you just have to be there. That sentence right there, you just have to be there, explains it all. Those are the times that we're really coming upon now, with technology, um, AI, all this things that are going on at this particular time in life. It's time to put personal beefs aside, and you do what you do, and I do what I do. But we need to pray for one another. I'm not big on hatred. I'm not big on racism. I'm not saying turn a blind eye when you see different things going on or be silent. But at the same time, know that even though we're physically here in physical form, we are all spiritual beings at the end of the day. All of these bodies are going to return to the dust or be cremated, whatever, what have you. These are just the things that these are just things that encompass our spirit and our soul. So let's be mindful of that and work on, see people living healthy and exercising and working out and taking care of their bodies that we know we're gonna put in the ground or is gonna be no longer gonna be occupied by our supposed soul or our spirit. I'm not saying that those things aren't important because they are. However, if we know that or we believe that our spiritual man is going to live for eternity, I would think it's just that much more important to be focused on making sure that you have a better relationship with the eternity than the relationship that you have here with mankind in the times that we're living in now. And I was thinking about, I said, just imagine, go back 1,000 years ago. You pick any place on the globe, um, and to see how they lived during that particular time. We can't even imagine. So you know that they couldn't imagine living in this era with computers and technology and light and restaurants and cars and automobiles and different things of that nature there. You ain't even got to go back 1,000 years ago. You can go back to 100 years ago and see the drastic difference in culture and the way that we evolved and things that we going through. But with the climate that's going on, and I'm not even just talking about the president, I'm just talking about everything as a whole. We have to make sure that we are covered with in prayer. Make sure that we're loving on our loved ones, and making sure that make sure every moment that we have that God gives us, make sure that it counts for something. Do something to love on someone that you love. We at the age now where we have to stop taking life for granted because no one is promised this evening. I promise you. People always say tomorrow, but I say this evening. Um, so extract exactly. Sam said extreme Islamic attacks. Yeah, man, it's like everybody is on the hunt right now. It's like almost like every man for themselves. Um, and we just got to be prepared and let's see. We have to be prepared and just stay right and make sure that we have good relationship with our higher power. Um, tonight's guest having trouble getting in. Let me send this another way. Y'all give me 1 second. Hey Sam, too. Am I like distorted? Is my camera looking crazy? Can you see me okay? And can you hear me okay? StreamYard want to be acting kind of funny tonight. I see. right, see if that worked. You said you good. Your video and sound. All right, cool. Because on my end, it's like I'm almost looking like a computer, like a robot. But as long as y'all can see me good and it's not distorted on that end or what's going out, then I'm cool with that. But yeah, man, I seen what Trump he talked about today earlier today, how he was talking about getting rid of the military or something to that effect. Of course, Sam would know more about that. But firing generals that he don't like and going past all these different almost crazy. And it's funny. I was on line the other day and I came across this T-shirt that I thought was amazing. And I said I wouldn't mind purchasing that myself. But when it was talking about how everybody was coming against DEI and different things of that nature there, but it was talking about how I think it said, just imagine, can you imagine being afraid of diversity but not scared of dictatorship? And it's like, I think that we're going to be living in an era where we're going to start seeing a lot of things that we never thought we would see. Things that played out. Oh, that was just a movie. That would never really happen. We're starting to see all these different things right now. Even like with when you go back to the pandemic, the beginning of the pandemic, we seen the movie in Contagious and Outbreak and all these different movies, and we ain't think we ever be living in those times. So it's like it's kind of scary sometimes when you think about it. And then he taking over medicine. Who is gonna like? It's scary when you have if you do away with a committee or board or what have you, the CDC, whether they right or wrong, that's a whole different conversation. But when you have one person, regardless of whatever, it's if you have one person that's controlling who gets medicine, elderly, sickly, uh, race, whatever the case may be, that's a scary, scary thought for so many people that really need these different things to live a vibrant life. Sam said generals and leadership that's out of shape need to go. Yeah, that I agree with that too. But I don't think that I think it still needs to be some kind of system in place where you're not picking and choosing these things off of who kissed your behind or who agrees with you, even when you're right. People just stroking your ego. I don't think that they should be qualified to be in those positions either. And we already know, based off of his resume and his history, that's exactly who he's going to put in place. How are you going to lead into battle and you can't even fight? Absolutely. And here's another one for you, Sam. It's an unpopular opinion, while I'm still waiting on the guest. But I've said this whole time, the majority of my life growing up in Newark, New Jersey, we were known as the car thief capital of the world. And I remember one day sitting in the Home Depot parking lot, and I seen a dude maybe 12, maybe 13, 14 years old tops. He watched this lady. No, it was actually a guy. He watched the guy park his car, and he was like right in the spot, very next to, how in the front of the parking lots they got the designated areas for the handicap. And the dude that was going into Home Depot, he parked in the very first spot that's closest to the handicap spot that was legal for him to park in. By the time he got to Home Depot's front door, his car was already pulling out. A kid, no more than 14 years old, had already got in his car that was locked. He popped the locks, got in the car, started the car, and drove off. How I said that? Now that's exactly. I'm not condoning that behavior whatsoever. However, when I see things like what Trump is talking about today, we're using the military to train in the inner cities of America, whereas mostly people that look like me come from less fortunate families, cities like Chicago, whether they're gangs or whatever the case may be. That's beyond the point. How about you reinvest that money into them, and instead of, or even your dealers that stand on the corner, you know what I mean? You had dudes that would do computer type math based off of numbers in their brain. Instead of spending all this money terrorizing the neighborhood, so to speak, or destroying the neighborhood, why not invest that money in making sure they go to school to get a degree in an account? That young man that I was just talking about at 14 years old. I don't know much about cars. I've never been a mechanic. Don't care to be one. But what I will say is, what I would think is, anybody at the age of 14 years old that could get inside a car that's locked, be able to figure out how to start that um engine and be able to drive and take off. That sounds like an engineer to me. If you take that person instead of locking them up, put using something positive. And I said that because with him taking over the ghettos, why not, so to speak? If you got soldiers, and to Sam point, if you can't even go to battle, these dudes got guns, whether you bring the troops in or not. Okay, gun violence gun violence is very prominent, not just in the suburb areas. Because let's get it right, we seeing all these different school shootings happening throughout the country, and most of the school shooting, mass shootings, they are not in the inner city. So that's a whole different conversation, a whole different caveat. But what I'm saying is, why not take some of these same people instead of throwing them away? Why not try to rehabilitate them what the prison system is really supposed to be about, and teach them how to become in the military, to put them on the front lines? If you're going to be toting a gun anyway, why not do it for your country or your hood or your city? Because a lot of people don't really care about those, not they don't have patriotic uh, empathy and things of that nature there. But there's potential. What I'm talking about is seeing the harm in somebody and actually taking the potential of it. You talk about the number one family in American history, the Kennedys. They fathered the father before the president. The father was a bootlegger, and it was illegal. So basically, what you did was you took a criminal and let him turn all his money legit. Why not do the same thing in terms of the inner city for those that can be saved? Of course, you can't save everybody, but why not go there before you start saying that we're going to use these real live people as practice for war? I was that dude. The military saved my life. That's my point, Sam. You know what I mean? And you might have not even been in no crazy situation to make you go into the army. You know what I'm saying? Even when we see different things in certain movies, they on the run. The drug dealers about to come get them because they done moved away or whatever. So they jump in the army so they could be protected. They got to worry about coming back, whatever the case may be. But they become a soldier, general, sergeants, what have you, and make a whole career, become successful businessmen and successful people in society. Um, why not? Why not that be an option versus, okay, well, if we're gonna test these guns out on we're gonna test our troops out. And I don't even like that. Even what you say, Sam? Sam said I was on the east side of Detroit, 7 Mile. Yeah. So I know everybody know 8 Mile with y'all know what I'm talking about, March Madness. Eminem. Shot a blank for a second. But Eminem, yeah, man, it's like, so we know exactly what it's like. And I'm like, he's talking about Chicago, he's talking about LA, he's talking about probably cities. He didn't mention Newark, but I'm just thinking about like the most interest cities that I know personally. Little Rock, Arkansas. You're not talking about places like Des Moines, Iowa, where you got all the same nonsense and violence going on white violence. I may add what they call in the white community, what we call a ghetto is what they call trailer park homes. Trailer parks, and it's like a whole area, nothing but trailers where people live at, and that's the version of the projects that we're having. It's just as much violence there. It's just as much crime in those areas. There's just as much thieves in those areas, but we don't see anything about that. All they want to show us on the news is a distorted view. And I think that we gotta. I was sharing with somebody earlier. For me, it's about, I could deal with things a lot better if y'all would just tell us the truth. Stop trying to sell us a dream. You know what I mean? Stop trying to make it seem like what it isn't. This is not a movie. This is my real life. Like, so don't have me wishing upon a star or believing in the fairy tales and you know what I mean? The American, uh, as a black man in America, when I see the history of how black people have been treated in America historically, why would I think that when you talk about the American dream that it applies to me? Sam always talks about the Constitution, and I thank God for people like Sam, because I believe that we need everybody at the table. We need somebody, an atheist, we need a Christian, we need a Muslim, we need a male, we need a woman, we need somebody old, we need somebody young. We need to all have an actual committee where all different perspectives can actually be voiced and their opinions be shared, and that's how we get to come. I believe how we get to come to real conclusions, because we're not going to agree on everything, but we can come together to a consensus to say, okay, these are the things that's most important to us. You know, outside of religion, outside of political parties, these are the things that matter to me. You know, and I think that the young, older generation don't need to be so dismissive of the younger generation, and vice versa. Because I remember when I was a young man and teenager in my early 20s, and older cats would try to, spit game to us and give us education and goals of life. We wasn't trying to hear them, so we have to really be open to hearing one another, seeing one another, um, and making sure that we come together to do what's best for the future generations, not just the time that we have here now. You know what I mean? Education, um, love, family values, different things of that nature. There, you know what I mean? So I believe that that's really important, and we need to really um, work on that. And that doesn't take anybody running for office. That doesn't take anybody voting. That don't take anything. That just take effort on our parts. You know what I mean? I hear people all the time, and then even in the cities, you hear that all the time. I remember what it was like that. Talk about the crime that we see in the cities, but when was the last time you went to a city hall meeting? Do you even know who your councilman is in your district? Um, like little things like that. There, like how you gonna complain about a problem or what you hear everybody is talking about as a problem, and you don't even know about how to go about or trying at least to rectify the situation. Yeah, so we got to do better. And like I said, I seen some of the things, and then you had the children up there earlier, um, parading them for the photo op, the leukemia taking over the healthcare and everything else. Um, it's just scary times, people. Scary times. So let us make sure that we do our due diligence and be prepared for whatever, because whatever is about to come is something that we've never seen before. Um, and I don't mean that as black people. I mean that as people. Period. Mankind, human nature. It's about to be real crazy. Um, oh yeah, Sam too, man. I'm gonna holler at you offline, man. I got a bone to pick with your boy Sawyer, man, over last week's show. But I'll talk to you about that uh, after our show, or hit you up sometime tomorrow. But yeah, man, I was trying to stall them. Church. They sent me a text. Tonight's guest sent me a text saying that they were having trouble getting in on the link. So I'm just trying to wait for them to get in here so we can, go ahead with the show. But in the meantime, do you guys have anything for me? Um, Again, always ideas for shows, guests that you would want to see, different topics that you would want to see, any questions, stories. I remember talking to you guys in Poland at one time, talking about doing, story time with Marvin, just telling you guys different funny things throughout my life, without incriminating anybody else, but just different things that I've been through. And we never really got a chance to get into it, but I'm working on that too as well. But it's usually better. I don't know what you guys want to know as far as questions or off topic conversations or whatever. But I'm an open book pretty much. I'm willing to talk about anything, just about. Um, and like I said, we don't do scripted, but I do. I would like to have a few questions from you guys that I could, in times like this here when we're kind of just freestyling, or doing the free first of the month freestyle show. We could talk about different things. I remember my guy brother Lamar, the show that he was on, he came like that when I first introduced it. He asked me about like my first kiss, and I'm like, dude, like you really got me. That really one caught me, really caught me off guard. Um, I had to really go back in my Rolodex, my mental Rolodex, to figure it out. Yeah, man. Uh, that's why I was trying to get this situated early. I do apologize. Let's see. Um, What'd you say, Sam? Let me see. What do you think about the Iowa school superintendent that got arrested and being deported? Oh man. All right, I'm gonna answer that real quick as soon as I finish responding to this here. Uh, that's why I need a staff. Um, yeah. So Sam, my is kind of brief on that one. Um, because I really don't know all the details. I only seen like the different snippets. I did see a little bit of something with him on the news, but I can't hear the audio from what they were talking about on TV today. But from what I'm understanding, and you could let me know if I'm wrong, um, but it was a superintendent, and I didn't even know that he was getting deported. But he got arrested. I guess he got wrongfully arrested by ICE, or not. I won't say wrong. Allegedly, for being an illegal citizen. And my question was, as soon as I seen it, it was like, how in the world can you just not have a job, but you're actually the superintendent of schools and be here legally? So even let's say, for example, he is illegal and is justifiable. That's a whole different conversation for that district, for that school, that school, that whole little area, that somebody could have such a position in the community as to be the superintendent of schools, but yet be an illegal alien. Um, he had a deportation. Uh, he had a deportation order from 2022 after missing his immigration court date. His visa ran out in 1999. Okay, so thank you, Sam. Thank you. That's why I said I can always count on you. um, now, okay, cool. So the warrant went out. The orders went out in 2022 after his immigration court date. You said his visa ran out in 1999. We talking about a whole 26 years later. How are you guys just now realizing this in wherever they at in Iowa? I believe it's a Demons. Um, he had a student visa, which is good for 5 years. Okay, so that's just even my point. Like it's like, oh, once you in here, it's like going to the big three, even though they are like that. But just imagine an event. I know in high school basketball, a lot of times you got to pay for different games. But once you're in there, you just stay in there and you get all the games. You get both the JV games, the girl games, the varsity games, in certain high schools like that there. But there's some places, hey, look, once you leave out of here, especially like these college tournaments, once you leave out, nah, you don't get to just stay all day and enjoy basketball all day. So it's like if you came over here for a student visa, how do you, whether you get a degree or not, how do you not have to go through some process to make sure that your visa is good if you're talking about staying over here? I don't understand how you would go a whole 20 years without it being discovered that you're not on your part, because I'm quite sure that you know that your visa expired. But how does the government allow you to live here this long and not even being radared or monitored, just flying under the reason? Um, he got caught with a gun charge in Maryland in 2015, which is what put him on the radar. Green card holders cannot possess a foreign a firearm. So, and that's even sadder because if it wasn't for him having a gun charge, he could have been over here for another good 50 years, and nobody would have known the difference. That's scary when you think about it, especially the way they police our neighborhoods and swear that they know everything that's going on in our communities. It's scary that somebody could be over here for a whole 30 years, um, and something like that happen. And you know about that too, Sam, because you ex-military. But one of the things I used to always say too, when 9/11 happened, and that was just a tragic situation. But it was like, here it is. We talk about immigration laws, and people feel how they want to. I'm not even about to get into the politics of it. But it's funny. I've done enough traveling, international traveling. Like some of these places you go, um, they're gonna confiscate your camera. They're gonna make sure that you're not taking no pictures, no nothing. We come over here and everybody got a camera. You don't know whether these people spies. You don't know. It's so lax as far as this security um, here in America. And I always talk. I think I was seen a documentary on it when they were talking about how when 9/11 happened, they pretty much paid for those pilots to go to pilot school, aviation school. That's crazy when you think about it. But yet and all, I gotta jump through hoops to get a scholarship for me to go to college, coming from the inner city, and gotta be, go through all these red tapes and jump. Man, it's just crazy. But here it is, you pay for these jokers to learn how to fly the planes that attack our country, the biggest building in New York. And it's crazy, and it's funny that I even brought that up because I know for me personally, I haven't lived in absolutely, Dorothy. Hi, I hope you're doing good this evening as well. And it's not just myself, the whole community. We praying for you all, you, her family as well. Everybody that suffers that loss. Um, but it's crazy, growing up in Jersey. Like I said, I haven't lived in Jersey since I moved in over 30 years ago. Um, but it's funny how every time I still go home and I'm looking at the skyline of New York City, it's still just different. Like it's something about when you grow up in that area, anywhere in New York, anywhere in Jersey, certain parts, that part of the area where you can actually see New York City, and you seeing the Twin Towers on a consistently everyday basis. All these years later, it's 25 years later when I go up there, it's still it's crazy to not see those buildings, even on everything that happened. It has changed. It's crazy how that certain things just stick with you mentally. And 3 months after the 9/11 actually happened, for you to still see smoke in the sky in front of buildings, and it was just crazy. Um, Dorothy said, "I'm flying to Georgia on Friday, returning Monday. Services on Saturday in Douglasville." Okay, thank you. So, like I said, everybody, please keep that family in prayer as the services will be this Saturday. So, as you get your day started on Saturday, before you get ready to make sure we say a prayer for strength for this family um, that suffered this loss. I haven't got the details on Catherine's mom services yet, but when I get that information, I'll be sure to get that to y'all as well. Um, and be safe at the airport too. Make sure you leave on time, Dorothy, because I seen a little bit of that early as well today with the shutdown due, I guess, in another 6 or 5 hours, however long it's going to be before the government shut down. Supposed to be saying they were talking about without the piece that I was watching, they were discussing how uh, with the shutdown, TSA is going to be out of work, aviation, not out of work. Let me backtrack. They will not be active as much, so it's going to be quite a bit delays and kind of chaotic at the airport because they're telling them as TSA workers they still supposed to report to work. But even though you're coming in to work and you will work your full shift, we're not going to pay you. Um, so that's definitely not no. I snickered, but that is not no laughing matter because some of these people, this is how they depend on feeding their families. This is their livelihood. So that's scary that we would get to this place where these people that we put in these offices to represent their constituents, which is the public, um, they willing to shut the government down instead of trying to figure these different things out. Instead of the Democrats getting with the Republicans and whatnot, they rather just shut it all down and say, you know what, ain't nobody gonna budge because of egos and everything else that's involved. But yet the people are the ones that's gonna be suffering from it. You know what I mean? So that's just crazy to me. It's just I don't understand it. But they did say that I know it was three main industries that were going to be affected by the shutdown. Not to mention the actual people that work for the government, and I know people that I know people that work for the government. You're not going to be able to get paid at all. Um, you're pretty much out of a job, like just like that. It's crazy. Sam said they played right into Trump's hand, all because they want illegals to have free medical benefits. Now Trump can permanently RIF federal employees. Shake my head. Yeah. So that's what it's about. At the end of the day, benefits for um, the immigrants is that's what the Democrats are pushing for. That they want. No problem. Is that what the Democrats is pushing for, Sam? Okay. Immigration. Uh, Let me see. I don't know what's going on. Let me see. Sam, I'm about to send you the link until he come in case you want to come on. Uh, Let me see. Uh, I do apologize, you guys. Um, yeah. What else? What else was I seen something else that I wanted to talk about too? We're calling them. Oh, yeah. That's another thing I wanted to run by you guys. In the meantime, while we waiting on the guests too, how do you feel? I seen a video with Ti kind of going off on this girl for calling him How do you guys like my age? You know, people that are 40 and older, 30, I guess 35 now. I don't know what it is, but instead of being called sir, ma'am, and they calling you Unc. Ti went crazy, like boom, boom, this and Unc. And that. It's almost somebody else was talking about that with Lil Wayne or somebody. How Unc. Young people feel like it's a term of endearment, but some older people are actually offended by it. Um, how do you guys feel about that? Like, do you feel like it's disrespectful to call, somebody Unc for the younger generation to call you Unc as opposed to, sir or address you in whatever manner? Do you feel like that's disrespect for them to be referring to you as Unc and what have you? All those type of different things. Y'all can get in the comments. Let me know what you think about that. Um, oh man, hey, what's good, Sam?
What's going on?
So,
Man, I don't care what you say. Jackson Dart showed that Joker got some dang on speed.
so did Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones had speed too in the run.
Oh, I'm just saying, like you know, he didn't get many yards as far as throwing, but I think he made some good decisions. He didn't.
Mhm.
I think he got sacked what twice from from trying to do too much. But man, I think he might be the next after Russ leave out.
Oh no way! There's no question about that. He's going to be the future of the Giants. Um, what time? Hey, what's good? Two said they should hope to make it to my age. Absolutely. I don't see the disrespect like that there, but I get how some people could be. It's like one of those things that's a double standard in my opinion. While you was coming on, Sam, I was talking about how um hmm, we were talking about Ti going off on a young lady for calling him like, nah, that's disrespectful. Be calling me this here and that did.
Yeah, I haven't heard too much of Ti other than I think he trying to get his son out because his son got jumped while he was locked up.
He need to be in there getting jumped. He need to be in there a little bit longer. Knucklehead. I never understood that either. You know how you got people that have they live these privileged lifestyles, but still want to be all crazy and just for no reason. Dude, you're not gangster. I was watching Michael Irvin talk to Cameron about that. He's like, "How you feel about when you hear your music?" Stuff like, dude, Joker, you out here telling all these different gangster stories. Dude, you literally grew up in a gated community. Like,
Yeah,
like, stop it, yo.
that's like the point guard for or shooting guard, Ja Morant.
Mm-hmm.
They was talking about he tried to play this thing, but they're like, dude, you went to private school like your whole life. You know, you lived in a good area, like you wasn't in the hood. But now
Yeah.
he, you know,
But then, all right, so not to his defense, but one of the things that I would say to that is, especially in North, like, I don't know if you ever seen it, but the movie Rob Peace, you ever seen that movie Rob
yeah,
Peace?
yeah,
Okay, so that's right there based in Newark, New Jersey. The high school that he went to, St. Benedict's, that's right downtown Newark. It's literally next door, pretty much next door to the high school, what we call Arts High, where Tisha Campbell went and some other famous people. It was like our fame high school, you know, for the arts and different things of that nature there. And it's like those kids and they wore uniforms and they had their ties, but you see the movie, like they wasn't no they went to prep school and private school, but they were still hood cats, even in there with the fathers and whatnot. You know what I mean? So some elements of it, some of them do be reaching. Uh, keep saying he getting an error. Let me see. He said he see me, but he can't get in. I don't know what that's about. Yeah, but I like Jackson Dart. I mean, he looked all right, but you know, like I said, it's one game. I'm not hating on the young man. You know, it is what it is. But however, I will say is, no matter how good he did, I think it was unfair, and it ain't got nothing to do with race. But I do think that it was unfair to play him without getting James because I don't care what they say. I don't think that James is hurt. I think that's just an excuse that they're using because they felt the pressure from everybody wanting to see Dart play. Um, but my thing is like, even if you're gonna play Dart, what was the purpose in wasting money and bringing in two veteran quarterbacks? If you knew all along your game plan was to play him, if you wasn't gonna let him sit this whole first season, why bring in not just one, but you bring in two veteran quarterbacks? That makes no sense
yeah.
at all to me.
I just thought they was bringing them in just because I think both of them at the end of their career. I think Russ' career, you know, I give him 1 or 2 years max, and Jameis, I give him like maybe a couple more, but I think more is a mentoring aspect. But man, when I look at the Giants, you know, and I'm not a Giants fan, you know, I'm
Yeah, I
Lions
know.
all the way, but to see that Joker Scatterboo, I
Oh man,
mean, the Giants got some. They got a good foundation that they're starting to build. If they can make some good, you know, if the front office can make some good decisions.
yeah. Now one thing about him is like, again, I seen this movie before. You know what I mean? Uh, like he definitely has an upside. He definitely has potential. He's a cloud pleaser. He was the same way at Arizona State. Um, but that dude, now he's going to be the one that's exciting to see for me. But yeah, now so what you saying now? What was you saying before though? The Democrats, they're actually trying to uh get insurance benefits for
Man,
the
well,
legal aliens.
they're trying to do three things actually, and the problem is the GOP side, they had everything together. They were like, look, they procrastinating or whatever. So what we're going to do is just print out exactly what we did the last time that both sides agreed to. That continuing resolution, and extend it for a couple months because I think it was like March or April or even May. But they did it for 90 days and they're like addressing it, but like a lot of the people on the Democrat side, they was going to El Salvador. They're traveling all these places, and everybody's like, "Why don't y'all take care of us? Y'all worry about these jokers that's in the prison in El Salvador. Y'all flying around the country. Focus on the people in your area." So now that it's at the tail end, they basically said they want uh, 500 million for PBS, and then they want to reinstate. I think it was like 1.5, no, 4.5 billion for um, what is it? The Affordable Care Act stuff that run out this year,
Mm-hmm.
and then they wanted undocumented or illegals to get free Medicare, you know, free medical care. So basically, the way that I am on all this, I'm like, if you ain't paying to our system, like you don't need to benefit from it because it's like every time you get a paycheck, you see Social Security on it, you see Medicare on it, you see all this stuff that you paying for, right? So it's like if you paid in for it, you should be able to get the benefits, not somebody that just came over. And it's like I see Chicago and I see some like California, like they spend all this money to pay and house, and like we got all these black people homeless here, but you putting people up in like 4 or 5 star hotels, 3 meals a day, so I just think like it's one of those things that they holding it up for that. But to me it's going to make them look bad because now, because the government shutdown, Trump can basically riff. That means reduction in force. So he can riff all these federal employees. And what happens with that is if it wasn't a government shutdown, and like he fired a few departments, and they took him to court, they sued. Well,
Mm-hmm.
when there's a government shutdown, it can be permanent and they can't sue him because his excuse for doing it is this a government shutdown. He needs to expend the money just to where it's supposed to be at. You follow what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like playing into his hands because I think they said by the weekend there was supposed to be another 100,000 federal employees that was putting in for the early retirement option. And so now, but he's gonna be able to let go like even more, and basically nobody can sue over it. So I think it's he's making the best of it. But to me, the Democrats should have just said, "Hey, let's get this done," and instead of spending time trying to take care of you know all the illegals and stuff. That's why you haven't heard them say nothing about the brother, the superintendent for Des Moines, Iowa. It wasn't Idaho, it was Iowa.
Iowa, yeah.
I think he's here from Ghana, and he was on his student visa and stuff. And people are like, how was he a dang on principal and stuff in Maryland? And then he elevated to over all the charter schools, all while he didn't have a valid legal status. And then he gets to Des Moines and he gets 300K a year, And somebody dropped the ball. They were supposed to check his work history, and they didn't even do a criminal background check, because had they done that, they would have saw that felony gun charge that he had back in, I
And
think,
that's the point that I was
2015.
making earlier. Like, how does that go unnoticed? And
Because
I
a
didn't
lot,
even know it was two different states, two different
yeah, but
states.
and the other thing is like a lot of things now. So a lot of people, I heard people saying, "Oh, that's Trump," trying to get. I said, "No." I said, when he got his deportation orders, that was in 2022. Who was the president back in 2022? So I
Yeah.
said, "No, this is about him." I think 80% of the people that are being deported now had an expired visa. That's the thing. People get over here, they get their work visa that's good for like 8 to 10 years. They get their student visas. And when their visas expire, they just say, shoot, I'm not going to worry about it. But the way I look at it is what? Every 4 to 8 years, what do you have to do at DMV? Renew your license, right?
Mm-hmm. 7 years,
So
8 years here, right?
if you know you here, you're going to make sure you renew your license. So if you here on a visa, guess what you make sure you do? You make sure you renew your work visa or your student visa when it's time to do it.
Yeah. Man, let me see something real quick. Yeah, my bad, man. Um, yeah, I don't, like I said, I don't know how they don't check all those balances off, and he gets to be able to do that. That's where we start. That's where I think everything needs to start at, because it's like, what's I don't understand how, like, I can't say it in another way. I don't understand how that could even happen.
Well, I just think like during the last administration, they didn't care. They just wanted people to come in, and the game plan was to get them to be able to legally vote, and that's why you heard of that birthright citizenship.
It was good, Jew. Mm.
Yes. So that's the main thing. They was trying to push that. But my thing is, when I hear especially like white folks talking about, oh, it's just like the slaves. I said, no, the 14th Amendment was for slaves. Like to give us. I said, don't try to diminish what was given to us. I said, but they're like, well, no. I said the difference is slaves didn't have a choice. It was brought here. I
Mm-hmm.
said the Hispanic community and these Venezuelans, the Cubans, and all these people that's coming over now, they're coming over pregnant and having babies here, you know, they voluntarily came here. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
And in order for you to qualify for birthright citizenship now or even be considered, both your parents have to be born here. Like, they had the issue with where Hillary Clinton first brought up about Obama, about, oh, he was born in Kenya and stuff. People was thinking like Trump did that. Hillary Clinton brought that up.
Mm-hmm.
She cutthroat against anybody running against her. And that was the thing. Like I tell people, no matter if Obama was born in Zimbabwe or whatever, his mother was a white lady from Kansas. She was a U.S. citizen, bona fide. Her dad was an army officer and stuff. So he's a citizen just through that. So it didn't even matter on that. But you have people now trying to get birthright citizenship, and neither person on their birth certificate was a U.S. citizen. But that's what they're trying to change. If somebody's here or the amnesty, I'm like, look, before you let all these people in, you need to take all the black folks that's here first.
Man, my bad. Hold up. I think I just seen what happened. Nah, you could go ahead and keep talking, Sam. I hear you.
Yeah, but that's just a lot of the stuff I think you're gonna happen. And then another one of the things you're gonna start saying and people talking about is they about to start putting Muslims, a lot of Muslims out of the military. So that's something that you probably gonna see in the next, I would say in the next 60 to 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna see people raising, you know, they're just gonna start making noise over it. But I'm telling you, that's the next thing that's gonna happen.
Like I said, at this point, man, don't nothing surprise me, man. Do not nothing surprise me. But while I got you, I was like, man, I wanted to talk to your boy because by the time I got back in the comments, they was rapping the show. Like, one, you don't know me, dude. That's first and foremost. And this ain't no hood type thing. But my thing was, when you doing a show, if you're gonna make things whatever as a host or a moderator or engineer, you have to be neutral. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Because what he did was when I said, what was it, 35%? No, probably 20%, probably 80% of people 35 and older didn't even in the black community didn't know who Charlie Kirk was.
hmm,
Oh man, that's BS, man. Where you guys get these numbers from? You know, all
yeah,
and I get that aspect of it. And you're entitled to feel that way. But to answer, I was going to answer his question, you know, talk about
mhm,
where his blood eye says, and then before I get even finished typing that out, he comes up and says, well, don't nobody know who Jimmy Kimmel is either. Don't nobody know, they didn't know who he was until he got fired. How you gonna be one sided on one side on one particular argument?
yeah, hypocrite.
Yeah. And that was
But
my thing. So I was
this,
gonna ask him, I was gonna tell him, you know, well, look, forget my statistics, where I get my statistics from. If you really want the answers, how about you go to 7 Mile? How about you go to Watts? How about
yeah,
you go to Compton and ask those people how many of you knew Charlie Kirk? And I guarantee you, I was being gracious by saying 80%. It's probably more than that. Because I know everybody that I talked to about the whole thing, with literally, not that we being funny, with the exception of you, I think maybe only 2 or 3 other black men that I knew heard of who Charlie Kirk was. We had seen his face before from different things on TikTok and Instagram and all that different, but we didn't know who he was.
well, I actually went to NC State when he came to NC State. I went out there to push back on him on a
Mm-hmm.
couple of things. And then basically the way when he was set up to basically he wanted people in line that was pushing back on him or didn't agree with him. He didn't want to talk to people that thought like he thought.
God,
So
now I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah.
and by the time I got up, the question that I had to push back on was about just some of the stuff with DEI.
Mm-hmm.
And but someone had already asked a question and he had answered it. Now, I could have easily taken it like in a negative way, but I'm the type I just like dialogue. I like people, I don't like to be around people who think everything like me.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been following him. This was back in I think 2016. So I just, I listen to a lot of commentary, a lot of podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew of him, but his target audience isn't bro on the block.
That was my
Even
point.
even the white folks in the trailer parks. His audience was the college campuses. So like
Exactly.
if you go on the street to and talk to about the people who weren't currently in college, 95% of them people didn't know who he was.
Exactly. White or black.
Yeah. So yeah, because all his target, his literally his target was college campuses.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he set up on college campuses. So that's what, like, I don't think Sawyer was right about that, because Sawyer is the engineer. And what
Yeah, I
happens is,
know.
yeah, so what happens is, if we don't have uh but two or three people on,
Mm-hmm.
Sawyer will come on,
Yeah.
and he normally sits there to keep it flowing. But
Mm-hmm.
Sergio, he's the host, and Sawyer's in his ear,
Mm-hmm.
like saying, "Hey, you need to go ahead and give the sponsor a shout out," or
Yeah.
like he's taking that from him. But
And that's what I'm saying. He started out good because he was kind of moderating off the camera and all that. Then he started getting into jokes. Even when I was talking about lyric and being funny, I ain't got no problem being a joke. I put it in there to be
yeah,
funny. You know what I'm saying? So
oh
I
yeah,
ain't mad
yeah.
with that there. But then when you come back, oh man, get out of here with those numbers. Where you guys get these numbers from? Well, how many black people do you know to actually poll? How many black people have you actually had a conversation with to know that they didn't know who Charlie? So they could tell you, not me, but so that they could tell you that they didn't know who Charlie Kirk was.
And it's the same thing with the Jimmy Kimmel thing. Now, I'm not gonna lie. Back in the days, like in the 2010, 2011, 12, I watched it almost every night.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't sit there and watch the whole show, but I would watch that dialogue.
Yeah.
And then I think about 2015, something changed in the atmosphere where he just started to become more like political.
Mm-hmm.
And then not just that, but the streaming services, Amazon Prime, all that stuff started
Yeah.
getting real big. So
Mm-hmm.
nobody watches network TV no more.
Exactly.
Everybody watches YouTube. When I can't, and I kind of got lazy with this, like the football games. I'm not as pressed to watch a game all the time.
When you got
Sometimes
so much
because I
access,
know I
it's
can go on
overload.
YouTube and see a 19-minute, 12
Mm-hmm.
to 19-minute highlight of
Of all
every
the
key
highlights.
play.
Yeah. On
And with
both sides
Jimmy
of the ball.
Kimmel, yeah, I would say the last 5 years, the only thing that I've watched with him was when he would do the trick or treat, the kid, the parents ate the candy, or when he would have Drake or 50 Cent on there when they act like they dress up as somebody else. So it's like the people who were saying, "Oh, why they shut down Jimmy Kimmel and all this stuff?" I'm like, dude, his ratings was in the tank. Like, nobody was watching him. And it's not all because he was bad. It's just nobody watches streaming. YouTube, all that stuff has changed everything. Like if I know somebody that don't never in the time I've known them never mentioned Jimmy Kimmel's name, but this happened and now they Jimmy Kimmel expert, just like
Mm-hmm.
with the Charlie Kirk. People
Yeah.
ain't I said, one dude, I said, dude, I've known you 30 years and I have never heard you say Charlie Kirk's name. I said, but
Never.
now you done saw some TikToks. Now you the Charlie Kirk expert. Hey, what you think about the what she blew out the WNBA Players Association president, what she said about the lady that's over the WNBA, called her out, said like she's a terrible leader.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that?
Nah.
Yeah, Fee Collier. To me, she should have been probably like the MVP this year.
Oh, that's my. I don't follow the WNBA, but that's my WNBA boo. I like her. I remember watching her from the Olympics.
Yeah, yeah.
Yo, what's good, man?
Man, I've been trying for an hour.
Man, my apologies. I'm like, yo, we had the whole thing. Hey, thanks for filling in for me, Sam.
All right, I'm gonna dip out. I'm gonna be in the comments. So
all right, bet. Good looking,
all right
man.
now.
Yeah, man. All right, so I don't want to rob the people because we're gonna have to reschedule another time. But I've tried. I'm telling you, when I sent the email, I sent it with the R, without the R, like both of them.
But I got it now when I sent you the last email.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It said when I, how you go to put the email in it, it was already preempted in it. I didn't change anything, so I don't know what the confusion was. But nevertheless, you here. Welcome. I appreciate you taking out the time to come on. Like you said, all right. So I didn't even talk about you because I wasn't sure how long it was going to be before you got on here. But this is a young man that I've known literally all of my life. This is somebody that's near and dear to my heart. Actually, a family member. We're actually cousins, and I wanted
First cousins.
I wanted him to come on and actually share his story. But with that being said, I want to welcome. You can introduce yourself. So what you want to go by?
I'm Warren. That's
All
my
right,
name.
I want to show if it's Ward or Dr. Love.
Warren, Dr. Love, Mister, whatever you want to. It's one of those three.
And like I said, man, I really wanted to appreciate. I wanted to take the time out to appreciate you. Actually had this conversation with me and actually partake in this because I know this is not your thing. You know what I mean? You know, like talk about do we have to be on camera and everything else? I know you kind of behind the scenes guy, and I really, really personally felt led for this because I think that there's a lot of people that need to hear this conversation and hear your story. And it's not about judging. It's not about, you know what I mean? Because people, different things that you faced, a lot of other people are going through the same exact things. And they don't know how to deal with it or how to process that information. So we're gonna kind of get into that a little bit. But go ahead and introduce yourself to the viewers.
Well, I'm Warren, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, Bed-Stuy. Right around the corner from Boys and Girls High School, if everybody know what Brooklyn is. And now I live in Houston, Texas.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So let's get into it. How do you identify?
I am openly gay.
Okay. All right.
A man, but openly gay. Don't get it twisted. No drag queen. I don't have no disrespect to them. I love them. I'm still a man at the end of the day.
Okay. All right. And the reason that I said that this is an important conversation because you grew up in church just like I did. And you know, like I said, we're first cousins. So we know how our family structure is when it comes to religion and what we believe and how we were brought up, all those different values and what have you. Like, what was that like for you personally growing up in that type of atmosphere where homosexuality is frowned upon, so to speak?
Growing up with both of my parents, God bless them, they are gone now. Both of them being pastors, and I went up to. I was raised in a strict Pentecostal family. Pentecostal family. We always heard God made Adam and Eve and not Adam and Steve. So that's all I heard throughout my life in church. And you mentioned something about no judgment, none of that. I'm at a place now in my life that I don't care if people judge me. I try to commit suicide 3 times. I try to take my life 3 times trying to please people. Not realizing every time I try to take my life, God said not so. And I knew he had a purpose for me to be here. So today I'm free. I love who I am. I have a partner that we've been together going on 19 years. And I don't care if nobody can judge me until you walked in my shoes and been through what I've been through, the hell I've been through, and to be free today. I don't care who judged me. But at the end of the day, God's going to judge me.
At the end of the day. And that's all that really matters. But it's like, even with that, like, because like I said, we grew up in it. So we know how church folk are when it comes to different things like that there. All right, so this is a better question for me. And if you could get into it or not.
Go ahead.
How would you characterize your relationship with God now?
At 57, I'm 57. For all those who want to know, this is the best relationship I have ever had with God in my life today. Because it took me a long journey to be here today. God showed me throughout the years of being, in the lifestyle. I had other plans for my life. I always wanted to travel. I wanted to do things and be free. But God said not so. And I respected that. And then today my life with God is outstanding. Nobody can take that away from me. No
Absolutely.
one.
And that's your relationship is your relationship.
Yeah.
And that's why I say, that's why I look at it, because me and mom, we have different conversations. I'm at a crucial place in my life now. I literally shared it with somebody the other day. I'm a previously an ordained minister. I believe what I believe. I grew up how I grew up. Now I'm at the age where I question some of the things that I was taught, some of the things that I have preached, some of the different things that are wrong and different. I'm saying things a different light. And I think that I'm one of those people that I believe that it should come in point in each and every one of our lives as an adult where we actually question ourselves, what is it that we believe and why is it that we believe what it is that we believe? Because I think it's important to stress the fact that just because you believe something doesn't mean that it's true.
And that's the most important thing right there. That's it right there.
Always using analogies, but it's like, you hear women all the time, or young ladies that grew up with a father, and they're like, well, a real man does this, a real man does that. How can you tell me what a real man does based off of your father's expectation definition of what a real man is? You know what I mean? That's not my
Yeah.
definition of a real man. I've heard somebody older tell me, older guy too, respect him. He lived, I won't say not doing slavery, but he lived through Jim Crow in the South and all that did. But he's like, a real man do 3 things a day. He get up, he go to work, he read the newspaper, and he shaves every day. And I remember telling him in my 20s, like, well, I guess I would never be a real man, because I'll be damned if I'm gonna shave every single day. You know what I mean? But that was what he believed definition of real man.
You breaking up.
Am I? Can y'all hear me
Yeah.
good now? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our beliefs are just that. They are our beliefs. But we can't, and a lot of times I've seen it. What we do, especially church folk or religious people too, because I know Muslims that do the same. It's like we try to force our beliefs on everyone else. And that's not cool, because how God deal with you might not be how he deal with me.
Exactly.
You see
And
what
I
I'm saying?
guess like you saying, growing up with both of my parents being pastors, my parents beat us with the Bible. They literally beat us with the Bible.
Literally.
Like you, I had to go back and question a lot of stuff that I was taught through the Bible. So I love my parents for what they have done, but as a grown person, I had to go back and question a lot of the stuff that was taught to me growing up.
I don't know what's going on with this app tonight. And it might have been an app too, because on my end it was saying I was showing as distorted. Like even now I'm showing distorted. But Sam said it was coming through good on that end. So I don't know what's going. It might be something with the actual system tonight. Because we do have storms down here.
Okay.
So let me ask you this: when did you first realize that you was gay?
Um, I knew I was different from my 3 brothers when I was about 10.
Okay.
10. I
All
knew
right.
I was different. It was something different about me,
Mm-hmm.
but I just didn't understand it at the time.
Got you. So you said 10, because I wanted to ask you about that, because I'm just being, you know how it is. We had a real conversation, but I used to always because what is it? It's 8 of y'all, right?
9.
Nine, yeah, 9. So I remember like growing up, because I'm so much younger than you. I remember growing up though. I'm like, well, if one thing got all those girls, like why Warren kind of his mannerisms and stuff is more like her than her daughters. But
Because
yeah.
you can I felt myself, how you say it, not girly, but I
Mhm.
felt myself I can relate more to the girls than I did the guys.
Mhm.
And then every time I was around guys, I felt myself. I felt the different sexuality. I felt that strong. I don't know how to describe it.
Like
It
you
was an
almost like
urge
a
of
movie.
wanting
Yeah.
to see them and be with them. So I tried to stay with the girls.
Mm-hmm.
So it's to avoid anybody trying to find out about my sexuality once I found out. So that's why I avoided hanging around guys.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And especially with the brothers that you got E. He like the macho. Then you got
Yeah,
Mike,
yeah,
who's the player that all the girls love, the G Buddy in New Jack City. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I could imagine that you probably dealt with that. And you're in the middle of the three. You're in the middle out of the three boys. You know what I mean?
You got
So,
Joseph,
yeah, well, yeah, that's right. It's four y'all. So then
poor
even
boy.
Joe down there with me. Joe actually younger than me. So
Yeah,
y'all had that probably had that relationship, dude. Even though y'all was brothers, y'all was more or less like me and Eric. Me and Eric 4 years apart, but me and Eric got a different relationship than me and Steve. Because Steve, I'm like the big brother, but I'm also like a father figure because of the age difference. You know what I mean?
hmm
So it'd be a little different. But when you were close in the ages, so let me ask you that with the siblings. Did your siblings, was it something that y'all talked about amongst each other? Was it just like the elephant in the room? We just not gonna talk about it. Like, what was that like for you?
we nobody didn't talk about it. It wasn't a talk about subject.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it really came out when I left my marriage. When I was legally married to a woman. I have three children. My
Mm-hmm.
children, three children.
Mm-hmm.
And but when I tried to commit suicide the third time is when I went to go get help. And that's when I knew God said it's time for you to live life. And that's when I walked away from the marriage, not my children,
Mm-hmm.
but the marriage. Uh, my family had a secret meeting about me without inviting me.
Almost
I
like it was
told my
with.
mom while she was in the hospital, she just had a stroke. And I was sitting there crying. And I remember this day to this day. And I still cry about it a little bit. And my mom couldn't talk, but she wrote down what's wrong. And I didn't want to tell her. And she kept saying, "What's wrong?" So I finally told her that, "Mom, I'm gay. I'm thinking about leaving Kathy." And my mom said, "It's nothing but the devil. You got to fight that." No. So when I told my mom, I said, "Mom, do me a favor. Please don't tell none of my brothers and sisters. Let me be the one to tell."
Mm-hmm.
At that time, I told Eric, which is my oldest brother, and Kim, which is my youngest sister. My mom gets out the hospital, and the first person she tells is my youngest brother, Joseph. Joseph flipped because he's supposed to be this macho man. He flipped and punched a hole in the wall, called my brother Michael, and they called the family meeting without me being there. And that was a mess. That was a total mess. Yes.
Like, what? Do you even know what the purpose of the meeting was supposed to be? Like,
Gay, me being gay.
no, but I'm just saying, like, what was the predicted outcome?
I,
Like it's
I don't
just
know
like,
because I didn't have time to really question it. Because once
yeah.
Eric called me and told me that they was having a meeting,
Mm-hmm.
I got in my car, got to my mother's and my parents' house, and cursed the whole house out. Cursed everybody out. Everybody, including my mother and father. Cursed the pastor and the assistant pastor out.
Now
Y'all
I
not
was
gonna talk
just
about
wondering, like,
me
what's supposed to be the
and don't
outcome?
invite
Like,
me.
yeah. How you gonna have a meeting about me? That, you know what I mean? Like, did y'all think that y'all was gonna pray, and then it was like what they used to say? I used to hear that a lot in the '80s too. You pray the gay away, just pray the gay away. Like,
And it was a mess. I have half of my, like I said, it's nine of us. So half of my siblings accepted me and the other half didn't.
okay,
I have two siblings to this day, to my knowledge, I still think they don't accept me. And I'm okay with it.
mm-hmm.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
I'm
and,
okay with it.
and I think that that's a very sensitive thing too, because I look at it like this: it doesn't have to be homosexuality. You know what I mean? It could be drugs. It could be methamphetamines. It could be alcoholism. It could be all these different things and these different vices where people cut their own family members off. But who are you to tell somebody how to live their life?
especially when I'm not hurting you
It has no bearing on you whatsoever. And you can be
whatsoever.
mad or feel however you want to, but it's my life to live. If I want to shoot needles, that's my right to do that. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that everybody's mindful of different things like that there because they looking at it so one-sided. And I'm not just talking about your siblings or whatever. I'm talking about people in general.
And
Human
people in
beings in
general,
general.
yeah,
You know what I
people in
mean? We
general.
just look at things. I don't understand how they could do that. I don't understand. I don't understand how he can know that he's gay and he goes out here and get married and have children. You know, all these different things. Just because you don't understand it doesn't mean that it's not a part of my story and different things of that nature there. And I'm glad you brought that up. So how did you deal with, what was that like? If you knew that you was gay, why would you get married? Was it more or
I
less
didn't. I
satisfied?
didn't want to get married. I was forced to get married.
Explain that.
Yeah, I was forced to get married. Um, God bless the dead. My children's mom, she passed away this year.
Yeah,
So
rest
I
in
don't
peace.
want to really talk badly about her because I
Yeah.
did love her at one part of time, but she blackmailed me to date her. And at that time, back in the 80s, God made Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. And I was scared to lose my family. So
Gotcha.
I dated her just to shut everybody up, including her.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, she got pregnant. And when she got pregnant, my mother and father being pastor, her family being Jehovah's Witness, we was forced to get married at 19.
Gotcha.
And back in the 80s, you do what your parents told you to do.
Yeah, so it was more pressure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even with that, I'm glad you made that statement. During that time, you do what your parents tell you to do. Me and my
Mm-hmm.
mom always had conversations like, God knows best, right? Because God knows that how I am, and it's easy for me to say that. It's like what we call Monday morning quarterback in sports. It's easy to say what you would or you wouldn't do. But I
Uh-huh.
know for a fact, if I had been born in 1930, whatever, or 1950, whatever, in Havelock, I would have never made it to be 49 years old because I would have been dead during those times. I can't see being subservient, and I'm in no way whatsoever discrediting those people. That was the way they lived. Those were the times that they lived in. But everybody wasn't passive. There was some dudes that was 13, 15 years. Hey, listen, we got the stories of Emmett Till. We have the stories of all these different ones, these different rebels. Everybody wasn't submissive to white power and, that way of living. And that's just the way things is, the Jim Crow. So it was problematic for a lot of people. And as
Uh-huh.
strong will as I am, I know that I would. It was funny because me and my mom was talking last week about Uncle Grip, and she was saying because I remember Aunt Glow, rest in peace, Aunt Glow. I love her, miss her all the time. But Aunt Glow used to always tell me the same thing. Like half the time, me and Aunt Glow would be talking, and she would always be, "Hey, Grip, I'm Lord Booby." Like she would always call me Grip by mistake because her and my mom, they would always say I remind them so much of Uncle Grip.
You
You know what
actually
I
do look like him.
mean? And that's what all the older ones would say. You know what I mean? And she was like, but that's why Grip had to, that's why he went in the service. Grip he wouldn't have lasted down
Uh-huh.
here with the way that he thinks and the free thinker that he is. He had to get up out of North Carolina
Right.
because he wasn't going to be going along to get along, so to speak. You know what I mean? So that's why I asked that question because I'm one of those type of people. So that's why I asked you like I did, where you say, "What you mean you was forced to be married?" Like, can't nobody make me do anything, but it was more or less
Yeah.
the pressure of
Especially back in the
society.
80s.
Yeah.
We got married in 87. So
Mhm.
like I said, back then, black child born in Brooklyn, you did what your parents told you to do. I was only 19. I didn't know what else to do. So I followed their rules and we got married.
Mhm. Now,
Hmm.
how did that? How did you feel about that? Like knowing that you're gay, but now I'm going to be a father. Like talk about being openly gay and fatherhood. What is that like for you?
Okay. When I first had my oldest daughter, she's 38 now. Um, I actually thought it would change my life. I used her to try to say, okay, I can do this. Let me live a normal. I call it normal, as
Normal
people
life.
call it normal, a normal life.
Yeah.
So I stayed in the marriage. as long as I could. Then she decided she wants another child. And that's when my second daughter come in play. So I figured, okay, yes, this was the child that I really wanted. The first child was a miracle child. We don't know how their mom got pregnant. The doctors don't even know how she got pregnant with her.
Wow.
But the second child, I planned it on purpose. I thought if I go ahead and have another child, if it would be a boy, I will grow up. We'll go to sports, we'll do all this stuff. But she came out to be a girl.
Mm-hmm.
And it changed my life, but I still wasn't happy. I
Mm-hmm.
still wasn't happy.
Mm-hmm. Now let me ask you this: while we right there, for you, what kind of personal hell or torment would you say that was for you to be able to not be open and I got what mommy and daddy taught me. I got what God thinks about me, what Jesus thinks about me, what my siblings think about me, what my wife and my children think about me. How was that? Almost like I think you deserve an Oscar like Denzel. You know what I mean? You have to portray this character as opposed to being yourself. Was that torture for you? Was that difficult for you?
That's where the suicide came in at.
Okay.
After my oldest was born, about 3 years after she was born, I wasn't happy. We argued every single day. To please my family and her family and my siblings, I thought the best thing for me to do was to take my life. Just get out. I didn't care about nobody. I just wanted the pain to stop because I wasn't free. I knew I wasn't free. God showed me exactly how I was supposed to kill myself. He literally showed me in a dream how I was supposed to have done it. The day that everything played out, the first time I committed suicide, everything played out. A gentleman at the last minute stopped me and touched me and brought me out of that trance. And when he did that, I just cried. I was like, what the hell was I about to do?
Mm-hmm.
I said, oh shit. So that's when I said, okay, I got to get myself together. This is not funny. I got to get myself together. And that's when the second child came in play. That's when I said, okay, let me have a second child. Maybe it'll be a boy and that'll help me. She turned out to be a girl. Maybe about 4 years after she turned 4, I tried to commit suicide for the second time. God showed me everything, how to do it, what to plan, everything. But then right down to the last wire, I forgot what happened with that one, but I was woken up out of a trance and it didn't happen.
Boy, and that's
then I found out that Kathy, which is their mom's name, wanted another child. And I said no, I didn't want no more children. Because I already knew at that time I was gay. I already knew at that time. I left the marriage. I literally left the marriage at that time, and I was living with a friend. We had a big fight because he wanted to sleep with me, and at that time I wasn't ready to sleep with no man. I was still just out of my marriage. I didn't know what to do, and I wound up living in my car. Kathy found out that I was living in my car and told me to come back home and just live on the sofa, sleep on the sofa. So I did that. One night, drinking, went out with some friends, drinking, came back home, but as drunk, woke up, and then by this time, I haven't had sex in like 4 years. No sex with nobody. 4 years. Woke up, and she was giving me the best head I ever had. Woo! And we wound up having sex. And that's when my son came in the picture.
You say she let God use her.
So that's when my son came in the picture.
Okay.
But when he was born, I left. And I left. I couldn't do it. I said, no, I'm not going to be here for this third one. I told you no more children. And by that time, I was talking to a guy named Chris. And I was just so depressed because now I got my son and I can't be there for him because I didn't want him. Not that I didn't want him, I didn't want no more children. And that's when I decided this was the third time I was going to take my life. Just take my life and just go. And this time I was on the subway. I was on the A train on the subway.
Uptown.
No, Brooklyn at Utica Avenue.
You said the A train?
The A train.
Okay.
I remember this one very well. I was supposed to walk down the stairs, stand at a certain spot. So when the train comes in the station, nobody has time to save me. So once the train come in, I'm supposed to just jump right in front of the train. And that's supposed to be it.
Mhm.
If anybody knows New York, you feel when the wind is coming through the tunnel
Yeah.
when the trains come in.
Mm-hmm.
This lady, her name was Jessie, pulled me, touched my shoulder, and said, God said no. And I looked at her like, what?
And Jesse is a stranger, a complete
And
stranger.
a stranger, nobody I had never met before.
Mm-hmm.
She said, God said no. Touched my shoulder and said, please step back with me. I stepped back, looked at her, fell on my knees, and just started crying. We sat down on the bench. She called out of work. We went to go get coffee, and she took me to this gay Christ center where I can go and get help. And that's how I got help, started getting help for accepting who I was as being gay.
Wow.
And that's how I accepted it. And by that time, seeing a therapy, helping me, that helped me come out to my family, helped me tell Kathy, I can't do this no more.
Mm-hmm.
Told my parents, I told my siblings, I just told everybody, I'm gay. If y'all can't accept it, I'm walking away from y'all and I'm just going to be free. I just can't do this no more. I have to live for me now.
Yeah. Well, you ain't tell me.
No, I didn't tell the outsiders,
messing
but
with
I
you,
just
man.
told my immediate family.
Yeah, I'm just messing with you. But what I was saying was, it's like, what I was getting ready to say was, isn't it amazing how God's love for us? You know, we used to hear it all the time. He loved me even when I don't deserve it.
Yes.
But even isn't it amazing how God's love for us, it loves us when we don't even love ourselves enough.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely not a competition, but I've talked about it on previous shows myself, how I actually attempted suicide on 3 different occasions. It's like, thank God that it was something that I sucked at, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
I jokingly say that, but I know that it was nothing but the mercy and the grace of God intervening on my behalf. I wasn't strong enough to, you know what I mean, make that stance for myself. And when I think about things like that, dear, personally, it's like, God, I thank God that your love for me supersedes anything or anything or anyone that anybody could ever give me. Whether it be a man in your situation, whether it be a woman in my situation, whether it be our parents, whatever. No love, as great as all those love are, no love will ever compare to the love that God shows and have mercy on us. That he loves us not because of us, but because of who we are, but in spite of who we are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's absolutely, man, it baffles my mind when I really get to thinking about it. And I get emotional sometimes when I think about it, because I know if it had not been for me, I wouldn't be sitting here today to be able to do a Marvin Bennett Jr. show. If it was up to me, if I had my way in different situations, I'd have been dead a long time ago. So therefore, I'm that much more appreciative to my Savior that he saw fit and saw me worthy even when I didn't see myself worthy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that.
And for me, he told me it wasn't my time yet. You don't have permission to take your life.
Exactly.
Only I have that permission. And that's when I decided, like, okay, I'm going to stop. You ready to call me home? Because I'm not afraid to die. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
My mom told me that you can't be afraid to die, because if you're afraid to die, you won't live.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not afraid to die, but I'm not going to kill myself. I know better than to do that now, because I want to see God one day. Mm-hmm. I don't want to go to hell, because if you take your life, that's, we all know what the Bible say. You don't have permission to do that.
Yeah. And I'm with you 100%. I literally had dinner with someone the first time that I attempted suicide. I literally had someone with this summer while I was in Jersey with someone that was actually there that night, and I got to share with them, like, you don't know how much that you mean. Because for years, I'm talking about for decades, I had actually forgot that they were there. Like we super close, but I forgot that they were there that night because I was like literally so out of it. You know what I mean? And we ain't got to get into these. I could say that for another show. But
Yeah.
it was more or less like, wow, you still choose to love me, and you seen me at my worst, or what I consider to be my worst. And I had to let them know, like, look, things going on in life right now, but because of that experience, or because you were actually there, the one thing I can tell you is you don't never have to worry about me trying to hurt myself again. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's no longer, that's never an option. Whether, no matter what it is, whether I'm homeless, whether I'm jobless, whether I'm penniless, that's never going to be an option ever again.
Exactly.
And I need you to know
That's
that, because
never an
you know
option.
how it is
Never.
when people attempt suicide. It's like for the rest of your life, you're almost like the black leopard. Like people kind of watching you a little bit different. Is he okay, or what they going through? It's almost like, you know what I mean. So I want to, with people that know that about me, I like to reassure them, like, look, you don't have to worry about it. That's never on the table again.
Never.
So let me ask you this: like when we talking about fatherhood, do you feel like there's a difference as being a father as an openly gay man versus a straight man, or do you just feel like the main important thing is to be there for your children, no matter how you identify personally?
For me, growing up, has I seen a lot of straight men don't want nothing to do with their children. You have children and they walk away from their children like they never had them. That wasn't me.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I never wanted children, I had them, and I knew I was responsible for them. My children was my life. I'm here today because of my children. Because I always wanted my children, and I fought Kathy. I took her to court. I did everything possible to keep my children, even though she didn't want me to have my children. If I can't have her, I can't have my children.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, I wanted my children. Even as a gay man, I wanted my children.
Mm-hmm. Now, have you ever had a conversation with them? Like, do you feel like they are embarrassed, or how did they receive that you being gay?
Okay, it took them a minute. It took them a minute. And thank God to this day, all three of my children know I'm openly gay. They know about Lee.
Mm-hmm.
My children love me to death. They even want to come and move to Texas, and I told them to come. So my children knows everything. I don't try to hide anything from them anymore. I used to, but today I don't. I don't hide anything from my children. They know, they love me, and those are questions I guess you got to ask them. At the end of the day, when my mother died in 2018, my children pulled me to the side and said, "Dad, we found all the documents that you took mommy to court. You fought for us. Everything. We fought. We seen everything." She tried to hide it from them. And she said, "We realize you have never left us. You never left us. You literally fought for us." And I said, daily, I fought for y'all guys. Daily. Even as a gay man, I wanted y'all in my life. So to this day, they told me thank you for fighting for them.
All right. I like that. That's a beautiful thing to hear, because sometimes you just never know how it is. Or I always try to tell people, and it fascinates me. Not that everything, I hate to do generalizations, but you see so many times when it comes to divorce, and even in movies, and people that I know in real life that have been through divorce, it's something that I don't know what it's like or where it comes from, that the children automatically think that is their fault. Like, am I getting in trouble in school? I'll do better. I'll make sure I clean my room. Like, they automatically assume the responsibility that the divorce has something to do with them. I
Yeah.
never understood where that association comes from, because at the end of the day, it's just two people, which is why me personally, as crazy as it sounds, that's one reason that I do respect you for living your untruth or the lie, or however you want to word it, for as long as you did. Because one thing I always say, me personally, and again, this ain't the Bible, it's just my personal beliefs. When children get involved, I think that each individual, the male and the female, need to put their personal aside, that even if we're not going to be together, we can figure out how to co-parent together. Because I just feel like, and again, it's just my personal belief. I feel like it should be every child that is born God-given right, same way they have the right to breathe air. I think it should be able to have. They should be able to have a conversation with their mother and their father. You shouldn't have to wait till the summertime when I get to spend with mommy or daddy. So I think a lot of times we selfishly, as the adults in the situation, you know what? Since you ain't rocking with me, I ain't rocking with you. Like, and we're using the kids as pawns, and that's not fair to that child. To me, the child has nothing at all to do with our problems or what we need. We need to learn how to agree to disagree for the sake of our child. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's just my personal thing. Again, that's not no thing, but I just feel like every child should be able to have both their mother and their father, because we are, as adults now, there are times, and my heart always goes out to people that have lost their parents or never don't even know who their dad is, or their mother who got strung out in the 80s and they never knew who their mother was. They was raised by their grandparents. All these different scenarios, because we all been in some incident in life where, you know what, I really wish I could talk to my mother right now. Or I really wish I could talk to my father right now. You know what I mean? I don't know what they're going to say or whatever, but there's something reassuring about having that parent. So I don't think that it's fair for us to be so egotistically to rob our children that we say that we love of that other parent, no matter how we may feel about them personally.
And I agree with that. That's why I fought their mom. I fought her to the T, because I don't want to be with you don't mean I don't want my children. I want my children. I mean, I want them in my life. And I really had to fight her. And that's what my mom said. Don't fight her legally. Take her to court and let the courts fight for you. And that's what I had to do to keep my kids, to make sure I could have my kids in my life.
Yeah. That's good, because you, like you said, you got straight men, gay men, people. You got people that just don't, and I don't even want to say just men, because I think that men get a lot of bad rap about that. I was talking
We
about,
do. We do.
you know,
We do. Yeah.
and it's like that's a whole other conversation.
We
But it's like
do.
it's so unfair, when we talk about Charlie Kirk that just was killed or whatever, and he, different things that I've seen him talk about, how, different on different occasions. Now, he was somebody that didn't believe in race, but he peculiarly liked to use the word black when describing different people, even though he don't believe in race. But one of the things that I seen him say on repeated occasions is how that's the problem with the black community. You got so many black fathers leaving their children and they absentee and all that there. And my whole conversation is, or my whole thought process of that is like, come on, y'all, just look at it logically and let's make it make sense. Y'all want to talk about all the black women that's on welfare. Well, let's talk about the numbers. Okay, we're 13% of the population. So I don't care if it was 80% of black women on welfare. It's still not going to equate to the amount of white women that are on welfare in this country.
Yeah.
But y'all don't want to talk about that. How many white men leave their wives or their baby mamas and nobody says nothing about it? But the minute that it comes to the black community, oh, look at them. They this here, that. It's funny how words change based upon what race you are.
Yeah, you're right. You're actually right.
And it's
You're
very
right.
hypocritical. You know what I mean? They're by numbers alone. If you're 40% of the population, then by default, it's going to be more you guys that are absentee dads. So it's just as much of a problem in your guys' community as it is in the black community.
And we see it every single day, but they don't want to talk about it.
Exactly.
They don't want to talk about it. Because like they saying, all the ones who come out to be serial killers and killing on white people, we don't do that. We ain't out there killing them. We ain't out there killing it.
Yeah, we don't have the mass shooters in schools and whatnot. We got one-on-one violence and gang violence and all that there. But stop trying to paint the picture over here, especially based off of things that you're seeing on TV. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can relate. So I used to tell people all the time, when you growing up in Bed-Stuy, I'm over there in North. It's like certain things that you see on a daily basis. If you was to tell somebody in Texas or Minnesota, they're gonna be like, oh man, you lying. Like, it's crazy the stuff that we see, and that ain't got nothing to do with race. I'm talking about the Hispanics, I'm talking about the whites, I'm talking about everything else. But it's unfair for you to have an assessment on something that you haven't experienced yourself. You know what I mean? Firsthand.
Yeah.
I don't want to go and hear what you know about hearsay. You know what I mean? I want to hear what you got to say based off of your own experience. I was right before you came on. I was on this different podcast last week, and the young man that was up here, his engineer was saying they were talking about passing to Charlie Kirk, and I had made the comment that 80% of African Americans, for the most part, that's of the demographic of 35 and plus, didn't even know who Charlie Kirk was. And oh man, get out of here, man. Where you all getting these numbers from and all that thing? Okay, well, my solution was, how about not take my word for it? How about you go to Watts as a white man? How about you go to Watts? How about you go to Houston? How about you go to Chicago? And you ask those young men out there on the corner if they ever heard of Charlie Kirk before. And I think I would be gracious in giving you 80%, because it's probably less than that knew who he was.
I'll be honest, I never heard of him until he was killed.
And that's my whole point. But he gonna
never
tell me
heard
that
of him
those
until he was
numbers are
killed.
bogus. I'm like, how you gonna tell me that those numbers are bogus when I'm talking to these people? I'm not giving you no history. I'm not giving you nothing from that I got from the census. I'm not giving you something that I seen on CNN. I'm talking about people that I ask on an everyday basis, whether they live in Arkansas, whether they live in New Jersey, whether they live in North Carolina. I have a pretty decent audience and know quite a few people. Not many of them knew who Charlie Kirk was.
Sure didn't. I'm one of them.
So don't tell me that my information is bad or that's bogus and all that. No, just say that you don't believe it, but don't tell me what I know to be true.
Right.
As it is false. So and I like I'm glad that you did this, and I'm glad to hear how you saying that you are now, where you're open. You don't have no problem. If you want to judge me, you're going to judge me, whatever, because people going to hear it, people going to see it and say, oh man, how dare he blaspheme, and says that nope, didn't know him at all. And that's my point. But a lot of people gonna see this. How you gonna sit up there and say he got a relationship with God and this and that there and what have you? I'm not just saying me, I'm just throwing a general question out there, because I tell y'all all the time too, if y'all got any questions for myself or to get, either he can answer them or we can answer them or we don't answer them. But feel free to put your comments or questions in the thing and we'll get to them. But for the naysayers that would say that, nah, he can't be openly gay and have a relationship with God, what would be your response to that?
Until you walk in my shoes, and it's each individual. I'm not talking about black in generals or all the gay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about me.
Mm-hmm.
Until you walked in my shoes and been through the hell and out, then you can say that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I said to this day, I don't force my life on anybody. That goes for my siblings, my children, nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, only one that's going to judge me is God.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only one I have to answer to. I don't have to answer to anybody else. No one else I have to answer to. So I don't care what they say. I don't care. I'm free, cuz I'm free. And it took me years to be free. So you can judge me all you want. And everybody on this call, you can judge me. I don't care. Warren is going to sleep at night knowing at the time I close my eyes, I'm going to see my Heavenly Father.
Mm-hmm. And I'm glad you said it like that. I remember a sermon that I had preached once, and my main point was that it costs something to be truly free. And people, we hear the word free, like free. No, free has a cost. Freedom has a cost. Whether you don't look at it from a religious standpoint, when we talk about the military, these different things for us to have the different rights that we have, there's a cost for those freedoms that you have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a price to be paid. So free is never just free. But when we really get to the place where we actually could use that word free, there's a peace, like the Bible said, that surpasses all understanding, that comes with that word of free, when you actually know that you're free, and especially when free from judgment, free from the outside world. I had a bishop tell me last year, we were talking about some personal things, and I was mentioning to him, like, I'm at the point where I really don't care, because the only thing that matters is what God thinks. You know what I mean? I'm one of those people. Like, it's cool to have family, it's cool to have friends, it's good to have relationships, but at the end of the day, the only thing I really need is God.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing that's going to sustain. That's the only thing that's going to be whatever. Everything else is just perks and bonuses from my perspective. And he was like, nah, see, you know, for the way that God really want to use you, know, you got to care. And I got what he was saying and the principle behind it and the motives behind it. But at the end of the day, it didn't change. I really don't care. Because the way I look at it is people could think, oh my God, he's this man, mighty man of God. If me and God know that I ain't what I portrayed myself to be, then what is it really for?
Yeah.
I would much rather for you to think that I'm a heathen, I'm this, I'm that, and know that my relationship with my Heavenly Father is intact. And you can think whatever you want to. As long as me and him square biz, I really don't care what other people think.
And
So,
that's where I'm at.
yeah,
That's exactly where I'm at. Like that. I don't care what anybody else thinks. To this right now, while we talking, I don't care. Because at the end of the day, I know who has my back. All I gotta do is close my eyes, pray to him, and I know he'll take care of me.
And that's why I said that's a beautiful thing to hear somebody else saying that, even though I feel like that and I preach it, but it's kind of relieving to hear somebody else have that version of freedom or be careless of judgment and what people think and what they're gonna say. And because I don't really care at the end of the day. What you say ain't paying my bills. What you say ain't allowing me to breathe the air that I breathe.
Oh, you shoot! You know, putting food on my table. Now, if you was giving me money to take care of my family, helping me pay some bills, then I might care what you say. But if you ain't doing that, I don't care. Believe me, I don't care.
But other than that, yeah, it's like why go through the semantics and all that thing. But yeah, man, I do believe, like I said, and I know some people are gonna see this replay and watch it back later, or whatever the case may be. But like I said, for me growing up in church, I didn't know everything that you dealt with or felt with. I felt like I felt like, put it like this. Like I said, I didn't understand why he seemed so much like his mom more than his sisters. But I'm too young to understand gay and all that other kind of stuff. So and that's why I try to tell. That's what I was making a point earlier. How, you know, at some point we have to start questioning ourselves about what it is that we believe. Do we believe what we believe because it's factual, or is that just what we was taught? Because anything that's taught can also be unlearned. You know, a real man opened up the door for a lady. Okay, if that's what you subscribe to, cool. I'm not saying there's no right or no wrong. I'm just saying that's your definition of what a real man does. That's not factual. That's not you know what I'm saying? Like different things there. So why I'm not even gonna put hey, what's good, T? T said I always tell people, stop trying to be God. My relationship with the Lord is my personal account. Absolutely.
Exactly.
You have no access
exactly.
to it. You do not have my ATM number. You do not have my personal pin.
Well said.
But like I was saying, I know other people, and the reason when I brought that up is because, again, I didn't know the things that you were facing and what you had to go through with. But I do know people that were gay that I grew up with that were in church, in school, or whatever thing. Like you say, in the 80s and the 90s, it wasn't nowhere like people. I'm not trying to be facetious, but how we talk about the alphabet people and different things of that nature the people that was born after 2000 can't imagine what it was like to be gay in 1984, in 1992. Like, you can't relate because everything is so acceptable now. You got commercials, you ain't never seen no gay commercial when we was growing up.
Budweiser, never.
It was not.
You never seen two men or two women kissing on no TV. Never.
Whether it was for medication, whether it was for insurance, whether it was for the bank, like nothing. That was nothing. So society has changed over the years, so they would never understand that struggle. But I know that somebody, let's say they might not be to the place there where you at. They might see this and say, you know what? Maybe it is time I lived that lie long enough, or whatever the case may be. Because I'm not the judge and jury. I have no heaven or hell to put no one in. That's the way I look at it. You know, I preach the gospel the way I see it, or what I believe, or share things that God tell me to share, or what have you. But that right there, it's not my place. My job as a minister or as a messenger is to deliver the message. And if you work at a restaurant, when that person brings your food to the table, it is not my responsibility to sit there and watch to see if you eat it, to see if you clean up after yourself, if you say so. My job is done. I'm just delivering.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to tell you what time you got it. You got this amount of time to eat the food. You got to make sure you eat. Like, that's not my responsibility. And like Terry said, man, we got to stop trying to play God, what I always say, refer to as minding God's business. But I do believe that it's going to be freeing for someone that might be struggling. So someone that might not have that level of strength yet to be open. And it's like, man, you know what? Hearing Warren's story just gave me the strength to have a difficult conversation with my siblings. You know what I mean? It might have been difficult, but you still here. You know what I mean? And y'all love each other. And we got it. We're gonna figure out how to get over it, or we're not. But there's no need for me to be the same way. I don't want you or anybody that I have to love to live in hiding. No more than I want to have to live in hiding. You know what I'm saying? It would be cool to live in an environment where we could all accept one another for who we are, shortcomings and all that did. Like I said, I know people. I got people that I grew up with that are addicts. And, you know, you got some friends, some family. I don't believe, I just can't understand why they doing that to themselves. I can't even, when I'm around them, hey, you know I don't do that. But we're going to still sit here and have a conversation. I'm not going to throw you away and not have no relationship with you if I truly love, because if it's that easy for me to do, I question myself if I ever really loved you.
Yeah.
If it's so easy for me to throw that relationship away, I have to question, was that relationship really ever what I thought it was, or what I said it was once upon a time? Because if it's real love, we gonna figure it out.
You're right. You're right.
I think that is, like I said, I think it's gonna be free. And again, I know that you, like you said, dude, I don't really talk about stuff like this. I used to do it on the camera, but I do believe that it's so many people that it will help that see this later, and at least give them the freedom to entertain the possibility. You know what I mean?
You've been asking me about a month ago, right? You've been asking me to come on here, but I kept avoiding it because I said, "Nah, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this." You know, and then I said, I don't know. When my sister texted me and said, Booby said to call him, when I got that text message, God said, now it's time. And that's why I did it. Because I told you, I don't move until I ask him, what do he want me to do? I'm being honest with you. That's why I didn't answer you before. I needed to wait to hear from him. And that's how good my relationship is with God. I need to hear from him to say, yes, you can do it, or no, you can do it. Absolutely. Maybe somebody out there that do need to hear this. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they don't. But I had to wait for him to say, okay, you can go ahead and do the live show. As we all said. And I thank you and I respect you for that. Because I told you, I said it before you even said that. I told you, I felt led. And that's one thing I don't play around with. I don't use the word led. I don't use God told me based off of what I feel or what I think. I never use those words or get it convoluted. If I use those words, anybody that really, really know me, I'm not talking about y'all out there social media. I'm talking about somebody that know me personally. No, I do not play when it comes to guys like that did. I'm not going to play like that. But I know what God was, I felt led. Hey, reach out to one just to, ask him. Ask him how you feel about it. And what did I do? Hey, listen, cuz, I don't know whether you with it or you not. If you is, cool. We can talk about whatever you want to talk about. But I don't do messy, all that thing. I gave you know what I mean? And you had every right to say no. So, again, I appreciate you for taking out the time because, again, I know I could think of people off the top of my head that I know that they battle with the same questions and the same identity and the same struggles, whether they willing to admit it and keep it real with themselves or not. I see it in the spiritual realm where these are different things that people are struggling with. So I know that people are struggling with this, like I said, whether it be homosexuality, whether it be addiction, no matter what it may be, we all are struggling with something. And sometimes it just takes that nudge or seeing somebody else. You know what? If God did it for them, he could do it for me too. And that's the difference maker sometimes. Now, having said that, I do always stress to people too, because we overuse that phrase in church a lot of times, in my personal opinion. If God did it before, he gonna do it again. No, if God did it before,
he can do it again. Don't mean he's going to do it again.
Right.
So,
But I'm gonna be honest with you, because I pray to God to move this out of me. I really did. I asked God, please, if this is not you, please take this away from me.
mhm,
Please take this away.
yeah,
And it's not that because I was raped or anything. I just knew I was different. I knew
mhm.
I was different. And he never took it away. So I'm still here. So it's like, let me live my life. Let me be free. Let me.
And that's
But
one
I
thing
do
that
want
we
to
all
say
do.
this.
Go ahead.
Growing up in Brooklyn, in the hood, we're raised that therapy don't work. I'm gonna tell you, I'm a witness. Therapy do works.
Mhm,
It's good to sit down and talk to somebody who don't know nothing about you, who
mhm,
can't judge you, who can't. All you doing is sitting there and just getting all this off your chest. As a black man, if you need to go see a therapist, go see someone to talk,
mhm.
because it
Absolutely.
will help you. So when
I
my
totally
mom
agree.
died, my supervisor called me to the side and said, Warren, I want you to go see somebody
Mhm,
because you literally dying. And I took that and I went to go see a therapist. That's why I went to go see another therapist with my mom when I lost my mom, my best friend. So therapy do works, guys. I'm telling you, it works.
mhm. Yeah, and that's one of those stigmas. I'm glad you brought that up because that's one of those stigmas we have to get out of in our community. Because, and I remember, I'm a real big movie buff guy. I just can't think of which movie it was by the time. But I remember seeing the scene, and it always stuck with me on the spiritual sense. But in the scene is a dude that's talking to they had a bar. You know how it is when you go to a bar, you sit at a bar, somebody pulls up on you. You kind of tell, just like you in your situation, Jesse. Hey, some dude right here going through something. You know, might not want to talk about it, but I'm at least ask him about it. And he was like, yo, you don't know me. And the line that stuck with me, that always stuck with me, and I was like I said, I was a teenager at the time. But he said, sometimes the best friend that you can have is a perfect stranger.
Yep.
And it always stuck with me. I said, you know why? I said, that makes absolute sense because they don't have any preconceived notions about you. They don't have any bias, whether Warren's right, whether Kathy's right. Like,
Hmm.
if you talking to a stranger, they just listening to you objectively, almost like watching a TV show.
Yeah.
Like, and I try to tell people all the time when I used to counsel, like, just like I said, use that scenario of watching a TV show, whether you watch whether it's a sitcom or something serious or whatever, a drama, and you watching this couple on this show, and you like, man, she whack, yo. How she gonna do him like that? Did in your situation, you ain't seeing it like that because it's like the car mirror said. Sometimes you're too close to a thing, and objects may be closer than they appear. So sometimes
Yeah.
when you step back from the situation and look at it neutrally, you start to say, you know what? Yeah, I meant what I said, but I was out of pocket on that one. Like I
Yeah.
didn't have to go about it like that. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's funny how when we can see somebody else doing it, oh nah, yo, that wasn't right, yo. But when we do it, we justify doing it because we in our feelings and our emotions attached to it. So again, talk to somebody, anybody. I always say that on the show too. Like I've even put my personal number on the screen where because I never being a survivor of a suicide attempt, I never want nobody to feel like you didn't have anybody to talk to. No, you could always call Marv, always. You know what I mean? And I'm going to answer my phone. But at the same time, you don't have to call me. But I don't want to hear nothing about you didn't have anybody to talk to either.
And that's that's it.
Because I'm
That's
letting
it.
you know that I'm available. You know what I mean? Whether we're close, whether we're not, we could be perfect strangers. It could be somebody that reads the show, that looks at my bio. My personal number is right there on my bio, on my profile, on YouTube, as well as Facebook, all my other social media. You ever need somebody to talk to? Like I said, I'm a stranger. I'm the perfect person to talk to. I'm willing to listen to you. You know what I mean? But don't feel like you have to face anything alone and you don't have anybody. In therapy, until I used to, like I said, I grew up in the same type of neighborhood. That was frowned upon. We was looked at crazy when we talked to the school teacher about, I mean, what they used to call them, the guidance counselor.
Yeah.
If you talk to your guidance counselor too long about going to college and all that thing, what are you doing talking to the guidance counselor? All these different things that was frowned upon. But I remember the first time that, like you said, when I did a session and actually talked to a counselor, the therapist that was a certified. It wasn't a therapy session, but they were a certified therapist, and we just had a conversation about it. It was like that, but it was like I didn't even know so much stuff I had buried. I didn't even know so many things, so many feelings that I had totally forgot about, and just not that I didn't know how to deal with them, but me burying them didn't make them go away or disappear.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And it was so, I felt, it's hard to describe how I felt after that conversation. It's like, you know what? I'm still the same dude that I thought I was. I ain't no punk. I ain't soft. I still know how to throw those hands and anything else if I'm in that situation. But talking to a
And you
therapist,
said that. People say, because you gay, you can't. Bitch, I can still fight. I'm a man at the end of the day. Don't step up me till I'm still a man. 100% man.
and what you say, you got man strength.
So,
Like, I feel you there. I done seen some fights with some gay dudes and like, yo, nah, don't forget. I ain't tell them the same thing.
at the end of the day, I'm still a man. At the end of the day. That's all I gotta say. At the end of the day, I'm still a man.
And we have to, like I said, we got to get, I just feel like we got to get to a point, and you ain't got to be accepting of it, but, and you can believe however you want to or feel however you want to, but let's be respectful of other people's ways of living. I'm not going to never not befriend somebody because they're Muslim or because they believe in a different religion than I do. What kind of representative of Christ am I when I'm automatically going to shun you because you're different than me?
Yeah.
Who wants to be around a bunch of like-minded people? I love to debate. I debate with people on my personal life all the time. I will agree with them 100% and still take the other side just for the sake of debating the conversation. That's just what I like to do. You know what I mean? That's how we come to solutions but I don't like the whole yes man and we just go, well, I ain't gonna say nothing because I ain't trying to stir the pot. No, tell me how you really feel. It might not change how I feel, but I want to know if I really love you. I want to know how my decisions are affecting you.
And that's how I always been. I always been upfront. Told the truth. If I tell the truth, I want you to tell the truth to me. And that's one thing I always stood for to this day. I would never force myself on anyone. But I'd rather for you to be honest with me. Warren, I can't accept that. And I'm not mad. I love you for that. And I'll walk away. I'd rather for you to be honest and upfront than be a fake. Because I have some friends sat at my table every time we had food and barbecues, ate my food, took my food home. I mean, drunk my liquor. Time they came out with legalized marriage. Here we go on Facebook preaching. God made Adam and Eve, not just Adam and I went at her. And she was like, well, I have the right to say you have the right to say what you want to say, but you didn't say that when you was eating my food and taking my money and drinking my liquor. So I'd rather for you to be upfront and be honest with me than to be fake. I can't stand fake people.
Yeah.
Don't be fake with me. Don't do it because I'm not gonna be fake with you. That's why I have a bunch of girlfriends. I got nothing but girlfriends. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't have many male friends. I can count on one hand how many straight male friends I have. Because every time a man find out you gay, they think the first thing you want to do is sleep with them. Men, we look at y'all just like we look at a woman. If you look at a woman and she's not sexually attracted to you, you don't want to sleep with her. That's the same thing that goes for you.
Yeah.
If I'm not sexually attracted to you, I don't care if you got an ass and ball and dick. I don't want you because I'm not sexually attracted to you. That goes for the straight men. So that's why I stay away from straight guys. Stay away from them.
I remember when I had called myself getting into the life a little while. I remember Elvis was the one that bust my bubble with that. He's like, look, let me tell you something, cuz. Just because you the hotness and all the girls like you and all that did, don't mean that all of those that the gay men want you. Like, but that's something that most straight men think. Like you say,
they really do. They really do.
Type about it. Like, I wonder how is he looking at me. That's how we are in sports. I played sports all of my life, and I have never taken a team shower because I don't know who is who. I don't know who is secretly checking me out. All that did. I will shower when I get to the house. we not doing no team showers here. If people like, yo, you on the bus dirty like that? Absolutely. My tub is private when I get home. My shower is private when I get home. I don't know who, you know what I mean? And not that because
I never thought you would be like that. I never thought that.
Nah, it was like I said, it ain't had nothing to do with homosexuality. It's just like I ain't in that. I ain't in no exhibitionist. It could be dudes that I know the whole team is straight. I'm not taking no shower with a butt front of a whole bunch of men.
Yeah, it's all right.
I'm just not doing it.
You got the you entitled. You entitled.
Any of my teammates, they can confirm it. I have never taken a team shower in my life.
Thank God we ain't living this because I sure would have talked about you. Cause damn, you stink. You should have took a shower, man.
Yeah, I'll be on that bus funky. Y'all better crack the window so I get to my stop. Yeah, man. But again, man, I'm personally, I'm happy for you that you at a place now where you can live your truth and be open, and you still got your children that love you unconditionally, man. That's just a beautiful thing because everybody doesn't have that testimony, and that's why I worded it like I want to. I know people going, man, he talking about testimony. There ain't no testimony. It might not be a testimony to them,
but it is my testimony for you. And I'm actually pleased and happy today. Yeah. Yes, I am. It is a testimony for me.
Absolutely, man. But I want to appreciate you for taking out the time. I'm sorry we had all the technical difficulty for and getting started.
Everything happens for a reason. It's on God's time.
There you go.
It's on God's time. Because I tried for an hour trying to get on this. I'm like, God, do you want me to get on? You said yes. And then finally, I was able to get on.
I promise you, I did not do anything different. I did not do anything different. I don't know what, like you said, it was just God's timing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. But for the people that have reached out to you and then, tuned in at 8 o'clock looking for the interview, tell them that they feel free to go to the YouTube channel, the Marvin Bennett Jr. Show, and they can just fast forward till they see you come on screen and watch the conversation from there if they want to. You know what I mean?
I tell them.
The whole 2 hours. But man, I really, really appreciate you, man. Again, my condolences on Kathy and to your children. I know that she just passed, maybe this last year. So my heart went out
in March of this year.
March of this year. I didn't think it was quite a year yet, but I didn't get a chance to reach out to you personally. But I want you to know publicly, like you guys have definitely been in my prayer the whole time.
Thank you.
Every since then, and I came across. I gotta send it to you too. I came across a picture of us together. I think it was at Man's wedding, and believe it or not, your wedding was one of the first weddings I actually remember going to. I remember the wedding.
Really?
I remember the church that we was at and everything.
Wow.
Because so I was even more confused back then too. I'm like, he get married, but okay.
But you know who really was confused? Elvis. Elvis is our cousin who's he's been openly since we was children.
Since we know them.
But when I finally came out, he said, "About time, bitch." Since I don't want to be the only ones gay, about time you come out. And that made me laugh. So I love Elvis today.
Watch if he not watching live now, because he'll watch sometime and just don't be in the comments. He be out there spying. But when he see this, I know he gonna text me or call me. we got to chop it up. I got to see him back in August. I had stopped through there on my way back from Jersey and got to kick it with him and chill with him, talk to him, and it was real good. We got to catch up.
I need to plan a trip to go see him. I need to go plan a trip to see him.
Yeah, and like I said, man, we not young no more. We not young anymore. And I try to tell people, I would tell my cousins on my father's side, like, it's no longer, we can't depend on our uncles and them, that generation, the siblings, to organize family unions and stuff. We all adults now. If we don't get together, that's because we don't want to.
We don't want to. You're right.
I believe that people make time for who and what they want to.
What they want. You're right.
We got to do a much better job. Like you guys got nieces and nephews that my sons don't know. You know what I mean? And different things of that nature there. So we got to do a better job of making sure that our kids, even no matter whether they fourth and fifth cousins, that they had the same type of relationship that we have. You know what I mean?
Right.
You got some cousins in North Carolina. You got some in New York. You got some in Florida. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Do a better job of connecting those dots. But I'm gonna send you the picture. I got a picture of us. We all stopped at my house in Raleigh when we was living in Raleigh.
Yeah.
Move your mom and all that. There's a whole bunch of us out there in front of the house. I got that picture. I'm gonna send it to you, man.
I think I remember that picture.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, mommy had on brown or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember that picture.
Yeah.
All right, send it to me. I want to see it.
No doubt. But man, I appreciate you, man. Again.
Man, you're welcome. You're welcome. Sorry for the delay, but I had to listen to the upper man. I had to listen to him first.
No doubt. Man, but love to your kids, man. Love to all
I
your
will.
kids.
I will.
And I again, I appreciate you, man. I'm gonna let you know because I've been telling one of my friends out there that I'm gonna get to Houston to visit, but I'm gonna try my best. 2026. I'm gonna try
All
my
right.
best to get out there.
You got Michelle here, and you got your vet here.
All right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And the young lady that I'm talking about, she's actually from Brooklyn too. I don't remember what part, but she's Brooklyn.
Okay.
So it'd be cool for for y'all to get together and actually meet each other.
All right.
Yeah, man. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in, man. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties and getting the show started, but in God's timing, and it did what it's supposed to do, and it will do what it's supposed to do. So I want to thank each and every one of you guys. And as I usually do in signing off, please, please, please be intentional about spending time with the ones that you love and letting people know how you feel about them while you yet can. Because none of us are promised to get up in the morning. I don't care how many plans that you make, that is not up to us. So let's be vigilant in the time that we do have, making sure that we utilize it and not take it for granted, but utilize it wisely, because it's genuinely the present is a present, literally.
Amen.
Let's be real mindful of that. And as usual, in signing off, DeAndre and Lysa, know that Daddy loves you intentionally, but I also love you unconditionally. Till next week.
Because love you.
Love you too, man.
All right.